Hello there, how are you? Welcome back. Well, it has been a crazy February. I apologize for kind of dropping the ball, but let's get back into it. The first project at hand is creating this canned goods storage shelf that will auto-rotate my canned goods utilizing everything that I already had here on the property. So I'm repurposing half-inch plywood. I'm utilizing pallet wood for individual dividers on this. I already have glue left over from a prior job, paint left over from a prior job. And to put it all together is coarse thread drywall screws, and I'm also going to use my brad nailer on one section of the face of these shelves. So with that being said, I kind of got my layout. There are no specific measurements on this other than I don't recommend going any bigger than 3 foot wide, or correction, 3 foot tall by 4 foot wide. And the logic behind that is these row of canned goods, if you go much taller than that, they're so heavy, they're very awkward to get out from the bottom the way they auto rotate through. The 3 foot by 4 foot measurement is the only measurement that I can give you that is a specific recommendation, because as you'll see, I just used my canned goods to create the different dividers on this storage unit. And then the nice part about these is they're modular, so you build one. Once you get it set in place, then you go ahead and build another one, put it above, put it beside, whatever. And it absolutely is just a fantastic storage unit to be able to see at a glance what you actually have on hand. Now, a perfect example of this, when you see me where I'm loading stuff up here a little bit later on, I had like 7 big containers of pepper. Who in their right mind would use 7 of those large containers of pepper? I mean, that's probably enough pepper for the rest of my life. Anyway, so by putting these smaller cans and whatnot at a glance in these auto rotators, that opens up your shelves for your bulkier items, things that take up more space on top as well as deep. And it helps you keep track of your inventory a little bit more thoroughly. So I just took this pallet wood, I actually pre-drilled and then put some glue on the edge of the pallets and then ran coarse thread drywall screws through to hold the dividers in place. It was a little bit awkward to get it initially started, but once I was able to get the first couple of boards on it, the rest of it actually flowed and came together quite nicely. The other thing too, when you're using pallet wood, some of the planks have a tendency to be a little bit warped, so you don't be afraid to give yourself about a quarter of an inch on either side of the canned goods, because the faceboard that you're going to put on here will ensure that these canned goods don't fall out. It'll also ensure that they actually rotate down more freely. I tried plying the pallets apart, and by prying the pallets, I had a tendency to just break a corner here, break a corner there. By using the Sawzall, you just cut through the nails, and it just made quick, easy work of it. Some of the nails were sticking out a little bit, so you saw me knocking them out. But for the most part, once you ran the Sawzall through and cut those nails, you were able to just come in, put some glue on the piece of pallet, pre-drill it, glue it, and screw it together. And I'm telling you, once it dried up, this thing was just as solid as it could be. And then simple old paint that I had laying around. I mean, this paint was probably easily a couple years old. I put a paint paddle on the drill, stirred it up, and was able to get a solid coat of white paint on it, let it sit overnight to dry it, finished doing the face up on it the second day, and then got it hung. Absolutely an easy project that you can do. Again, there are no specific measurements that you have to have. You use your canned goods to get your distance to put your dividers in. The other thing that I want to reiterate is I wouldn't really go any bigger than the 3 foot by 4 foot section. I guess maybe you could go 4 foot by 4 foot if you wanted to. I just know for me, looking at future use of this particular item, when you have it set up 3 foot high, you're going to be able to get about 12 cans of vegetables. I'll just use that for an example, at 8 ounces each. Well, 2 of those is a pound. So 12 of them is 6 pounds. So you're going to be lifting 5.5 pounds to get 1 can of green beans out. So just know it is a little bit awkward, but it is definitely doable. And the beauty of this being modular is you can take it down, move it someplace else. You can stack one on top of the other. You can modify them to whatever your particular needs are when you assemble it. So it really is a pretty neat, quick, easy project. And people are always trying to get rid of pallet wood. So this is definitely, an inexpensive repurposing of items. And there's just a quick overlook before I put the face boards on. I ended up painting it, letting it sit overnight to dry, and then I came back. Obviously, we're on the next day. I'm going to finish painting up the little face frames that keep the cans from popping out and getting them attached to the entire shelf itself. Now, these little face pieces, I just went ahead and used brad nails to put them in place. The paint was still a little bit wet, so I'm kind of letting the paint act as the glue for them. But just know, this has been up on the wall for probably 2 weeks now, and I have not had any issues whatsoever. It's holding up like a champ. The other thing I wanted to point out was I utilized my drywall screws. I pre-drilled holes in the back frame of this before I loaded it up with the canned goods. And then I screwed it directly into the studs just because there is a substantial amount of weight that's on the wall. And that's a look at the finished project. Now, I kind of got sidetracked and I did not get this hung until later in the evening. But as you can see, it really works like a charm. Again, it's a little bit heavy. You have to lift it up to get, especially these square containers out, a little bit cumbersome. But at a glance, you know exactly what your inventory is. And to the right-hand side of my hand there, that's all of my peppers. So again, this is going to be such a great tool to help me keep track of my stuff. Alrighty then, I want to thank you all for stopping by. Have an absolutely wonderful and blessed week. I'll see you next time.